do is go. All right. How's everybody doing today? I got a great. That's it? How's everybody doing today? All right, I got a couple whoops. All right, I'm not asking a third time. I hope everybody's well. Welcome to team meeting for March 11th, 2025. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Mike Carmody. I'm your principal broker here. Amy's my boss. Hey, if you know, we usually start with bucket fills. Bucket fill. Who's got it? Christine. Ian, thank you for being the microphone runner.
I just want to shout out Ian. He is so awesome. Every day I come in, I see a smile on his face, and he's just always got such positive energy, and he helps with everything. So I just shout out to you, my friend.
All right, shout out to Ian. All right. All right. How about another bucket fill? Somebody's got to have something. Found a parking spot. Gratitude, right? All right. Well, I know there's probably still more people upstairs or a little light down here, but hey, it's their loss, right? Because Nick is going to talk about some great stuff today. He's taking over in just a few minutes for me. Okay, let's dive into. Well, we would start with birthdays. Is Christina? Did I see Christina? Christina or Angel here? I thought I just said I'm not seeing things then. Well, happy birthday to and Christina. And I think we're into Lassig. Brock's coming up. Happy birthday, Christina. Let's go back real quick. This week's birthdays. All right, Christina's here. Happy birthday. And Angel, if you're watching on Zoom, happy birthday. All right, TJ.
Sweet.
You want to handle it? You got a couple slides, so I'll.
Okay, awesome. So quick reminder, we've got 2 events next week. First one is going to be, we do like this fuel call. We call it a fuel call once a month, where we bring in industry professionals, or actually even outside the industry, entrepreneurs, to help you guys with your business. Next week, it's Phil Treadwell. He's a coach in real estate. I mean, people pay hundreds of dollars an hour just to listen to him. So join, get some good nuggets. And then also, we've got our home buyer seminar, or webinar, excuse me, next week. So if you've got any buyers that are on the fence, not quite ready to talk to a lender yet, but are interested in knowing a little bit more, this class is for them. We're not too salesy in it, but we're just giving them information that they need to know about today's market and the upsides of buying in today's market. And then lastly, we've got a new program we've had for a couple months now, but it's designed to actually help you guys with your listings. This is our Sell It Like the Builders program. It's phenomenal. So what this does is allows you to compete with builder inventory, because builders, the one unique thing they have with their listings are oftentimes they've got really good incentives, such as temporary rate buy downs that the lenders are paying for. So we will partner up with your sellers and share the cost of that temporary rate buy down. Ryan passed out the cost breakdown worksheet that's on there. So on how to do this is scan the QR code. There's a playbook, and you put in your listing information. Our marketing team will then take everything you put in and spit out a ton of marketing information for you guys, as well as Mike will like this, broker approved remarks that you can add to the MLS. That way we all stay out of trouble and market correctly. But we found this is a really great tool to add traffic to your listings, great for buyer activity, but also for your sellers, because they're going to be able to net more. They don't have the full cost of that temporary rate buy down. So any questions with any of that? Okay, perfect.
All right. Lots of good stuff coming on. Thank you. Let's see, the road to 100K plus.
Class is happening today at 1 o'clock after team meeting. This is going to teach you how to engage your database, build your SOI, start the road to $100,000. I'd love to see you today. This will be in person as well as Zoom. I hope to see you.
Thank you, Ian. All right. And that is today 1 to 2. Real estate investing class with Emily Hayes Home. Anybody here from Emily Hayes Homes? You want to give a shout out for this class, Christina?
Okay. Yeah, we usually have a lot of people coming to these investing classes. We usually have a better turnout there actually than the home buying classes. And great success. And so if you have anybody that's wanting to know, because we team up with a lender there too. Sorry. But anyway, and so, yeah, it's at 7 o'clock here. So bring your people if they're interested.
Fantastic. And just a plug for that, guys, this is, just one example of other, we're all agents in the same brokerage, but the Emily Hayes Home team bringing this and kind of opening it up to you, your clients, is just pretty cool. It's part of our KW culture. So a shout out to Emily Hayes Homes for the that are here or on Zoom. So thank you for doing that. Spring, is it spring already? I heard you wanted to say something about this, Amy?
Sure.
Or
So
you were volunteered to say something.
I was volunteer. No, I'm
Okay.
happy. I'm excited about this. So I don't know if you guys all have the spring cleaning bug like me. I took down my Merry Christmas doormat yesterday and put up the Welcome Spring one. So I'm a little behind. Ian's like, it's March, Mom. You need to do some. So we are wanting to do some spring cleaning here around the office and decided let's open it up to all of our agents so that everybody can get some benefit from it. So I'm having a shred truck come March 21st, Friday from 12 to 2. So bring anything that you want to shred. And we also have a big 40-yard dumpster that's going to come be delivered on Friday. And for all of our agents, bring whatever you got, whatever you need to get rid of, and let's fill her up. It'll be free of charge for all of our agents. If you want to do a KW Cares donation, sweet. We love donations, but yeah, just want to do something that's a benefit to all of you. Yeah. Friday, March 21st. It'll be here in the morning, but the dumpster will actually stay here throughout the weekend. So that's not like limited to time. It's just when it's full, it's full. And I think they pick that up either Sunday or Monday morning. The shredder will only be here from 12 to 2 on Friday. Cool.
Thank you, Amy.
Me
How
plug
many-
real fast.
Go ahead.
This is huge to put with your SOI. Reach out to your people. This is your first client event for the spring. Help push that as well. Just a little nugget.
Great idea, Ian. Yeah, call your clients if you get that. How long do we have to keep tax records and stuff? I heard 3. I thought it was 7. Do we have any like CPAs in here that can tell us that? No broker advice on that. I don't know. I remember something about 7 years. Yeah. Real estate stuff. Here's what I'm going to recommend, guys. We're going to keep it forever if you're putting stuff in command. What about, good little broker point here. What about like text messages and emails? And how many of you have the setting on your iPhone where it deletes your text messages after a year? I used to do that, and then I turned it back on. The text messages that you get, any communication that you get with other agents or your clients, I'm going to strongly recommend that you keep that stuff, do screenshots, put it in a file. I know it's a little bit of a pain, or just keep it on your phone and don't delete emails. Because if a lawsuit or anything came, they're going to come back and subpoena any of those communication, not just the documents you had your client sign, but all the communication you had with your client or the other agent, right? So pretty easy is don't delete your text messages, just leave them on, clean out attachments and stuff on your others. But for your legacy stuff on your real estate transactions, I'm going to recommend that you keep that stuff. Better to have that information if, God forbid, a subpoena come in and they're starting to look at your files, okay? Scan it, shred it, keep it. Cool. Okay, AI Summit. Who knows what AI stands for? Well, okay. As a pilot, it's anti-icing. Did I already tell you guys about that MT meeting on there? Okay. Guys, this is really cool. And I want everybody to take a minute, put this on your calendar, secure this for every once in a while in this business. you have to make an investment. For 35 bucks, come to this. It will be worth its weight in gold. We're committed to staying ahead of the curve when it comes to AI. There's a lot of stuff out there. We've got some people regionally in KW that are just filtering through this stuff and coming up with some great. We had a little bit of a teaser on it on a regional meeting last month, and so anyway, AI is pretty cool.
And he's done all of the research, the comparisons. He's made it super easy. I would pay $35 just to get my hands on their playbook.
Yeah. Who's going? Show of hands. Okay, those of you that don't have your hands up, sign up, go to it. It's
All different AI tools that you can use as an agent to make your life easier. So they've gone through all the different applications and they've picked out the best, compared, and they're going to show you how to use them all, how to implement them all, what they will do, put you like right at the edge of technology.
Yep. Learn the latest AI resources for real estate professionals and leverage for more profit and productivity. That's a good summary on it, okay? Because there's a lot. The next shiny thing is always coming, but there's some really cool stuff that I'm going to encourage you to go see what you can implement, okay? Scan the QR code, get signed up. Okay. You guys are stuck with actually, Nick and I are going to be talking in just a few minutes. I think now's the time when I can hit escape. And so when I was down at family reunion, thank you. Yeah, will you put up for me and I'll get rid. I just want to give a little plug for this. And I think you can go to this Family Reunion 25 Unlocked. Who was at Family Reunion? I know a few of you here. Okay, so a lot of you weren't at Family Reunion. A lot of information down there. They've come up with this FR25 Unlocked that you can go to, and they do kind of little summary videos of things that happen right there. One of the most impactful things for me was sitting in, listening to Gary Keller do the second morning speech. And what I'm gonna show a video today, and cool, it's less than 9 minutes, okay? So it's a summary of what he talked about as the 10 bold truths. It was just cool. It just hit me, right? Stuff that I've all heard before, but I was in a different type of mindset. I really needed to hear that. And I thought it would be worth us just taking a few minutes before Nick and I talk about, we're gonna make everybody do scripts and role play in here. So I'm gonna divide you up into role. I'm looking at people's faces like, yeah, I'm not gonna make you do that. Maybe I should. But without further ado, let's listen to Gary talk to us again, less than 9 minutes on the 10 bold truths. Thank you, Ian, for rolling that.
Let's talk about these 10 truths. So number one, happiness is a choice. So happiness is a word created to describe the most important emotions you could ever have. A positive emotion about how you feel. So when we say choose to be happy regardless of circumstances, this is essentially what I'm saying. Accept that your happiness is your choice. First, accept that it's a choice. It is a choice. Number two, focus on the positive aspects of your life in the middle of any negative situation. There's always a silver lining. There is. In the worst possible moments, there's something, just a sliver, there's something. Number three, change your mindset. Reframe challenges as opportunities. Just reframe it. And that's not Pollyanna BS, by the way, right? It's not. This is serious. You can reframe in a positive way, okay? Not a trivial way, right? And you can practice gratitude, right? Appreciate what you have rather than what you don't have, okay? And the last one is just take proaction, take action, right? Actively live your life and promote well-being and think about it, okay? It's a choice. It's a choice. So number two, so we choose to be happy, and now we're off and running. And then we discover something. Life is an inside job. It's that incredible magic formula of life, right? It's inside to the outside. It's your inside, it's your spirit, your soul, love, thoughts, emotions, believing, and knowing. And it's your outside experience, which is your body, relationships, money, behavior, results, and doing. So it's knowing and doing, right? And in the end, your spiritual life determines your psychology, your physical determines your biology, and they both come together to create your biography. Number 3, then you discover something. Focus actually works. Go figure, right? You put your magnifying glass on a leaf and leave it there and get the sun just right, it'll burn, right? Focus actually works. So what you focus on actually expands. That's the interesting aha. And this is rooted in a very simple truth. Whatever we give our thoughts and actions to tends to get done more than anything else. So number 4, and that is the path is in the math. So from the moment our alarm clock goes off in the morning until the next morning, numbers and math play a role in our lives. But here's the thing, numbers and math are not the same thing. Numbers are the building blocks of math. Math is needed in every step of life, and fundamentally, there's no math without numbers. To live your best life, you got to know your numbers. Numbers are absolutely the basic foundation building blocks in our life, and math is what brings meaning to those numbers. Number 5, there is no try. It comes from Star Wars, right? The statement that Yoda makes, where he tells Luke Skywalker, no, try not, do or do not. There is no try. What did he mean? Give you a couple of thoughts on it. Number 1, fully commit yourself to your goal. Right? If you back up for just a second and say, I'm going to try something, and then say, I'm going to do something. You know those are different statements. And someone says, well, if you do it, you can't guarantee success. And you go, look, as long as I don't stop, I haven't failed. So I don't know what you're talking about. Number 6, life isn't fair. So life isn't fair. Ta-da! Life is turbulent, it's imperfect, it's unpredictable, it's unfair, right? Yeah. And these are just some of the external conditions we inherit every day, right? And whether any given day is good or bad, uplifting, discouraging, elevating, or disappointing, depends on us. When you think about this thought of fairness, the requirement for fairness is when we've agreed on rules. So if we're going to play a game of football, and we all know the rules, and we have referees to enforce the rules, we can now talk about fairness. You with me? Because we've both agreed on that. So if you agree with someone on what is fair and unfair, then you can have a conversation about it. But life itself doesn't do that. Life doesn't have any rules, right? Number 7, we fail our way to success. Right? The greatest mistake you can make is to be afraid to make one. Okay? So this is interesting. It appears that success without any failings at any time at all is extremely rare. It's impossible. In fact, it's commonly said that anyone who succeeded without failing first was lucky. Right? Right. So here's the interesting thing. So I always thought in my 20s, I thought you succeeded your way to success. It was just a mental attitude I had about it. And then I noticed that I was failing a lot. And then as I was working with people, I noticed they all failed too a lot. And then I noticed how they responded. And one day I went to my grease board and I wrote right beside my desk, I said, we fail our way to success. And I left it up there for maybe a couple of years. And I would just stare at it and then try to see if it proved out to be true or not. And what did I discover? We don't succeed our way to success, we fail our way to success. And since luck isn't a strategy, I came to understand that failing actually is. Number 8, so this is an interesting one, and that is belief and fear cannot live in the same space, right? Why? Because belief and fear are completely opposing forces. If held at the same time, and they create true cognitive dissonance. Fear is an emotional feeling you have that something bad's going to happen. Belief is a mental stance with emotional aspects, and fear is an emotion you feel with mental aspects. They are absolutely polar opposites. And what's fascinating is they scientifically can't live in you at the same time. You cannot say, I believe, but I'm fearful. The second you say the word fear, it takes over. Number 9, no one succeeds alone. There's no such thing as a self-made man. You'll reach your goals only with the help of others. Absolutely. So the myth of the self-made person, the idea of the self-made person is a myth. While the idea of succeeding alone may sound appealing, you have this image, it's just not true. It doesn't actually happen. The chart shows that individuals working alone with no support of any kind can be very successful. If they get involved with a group, they actually become less productive. If they get involved in a team that's rowing in the same direction, it's always more productive than being alone. This idea that I'm going to go succeed alone is an internal lie driven by ignorance or ego. It's not true, okay? Being on a high-functioning team, you will always outperform, by the way, and you should seek that, right? Number 10 is love is the answer, okay? And that's a little weird one, right? Ray Bradbury once wrote, love is the answer to everything. It's the only reason to do anything. Lenin said, love is the answer. What's the question? From Einstein to Bradbury to Lenin, they not only believed love should be the driving force behind anyone's decisions and their actions, but also that it's the fundamental solution for all of life's challenges. Let's just end on this. The fact that all major religions contain the concept of love as a central idea can be attributed to 2 things. 1, the act of loving others in the form of compassion and kindness to others promotes harmony and cooperation and can serve as a counterbalance to the human tendency towards conflict and violence, right? And then the act of loving others is often seen as a way to transcend yourself and connect with something higher. How you live your life, love is always the answer. And we're done.
That was a good snippet. Did you enjoy that? I love that stuff. I'm going to encourage you to go and maybe we can find the actual full recording of Gary's session that he did. But I love that part about we fail our way to success. Anybody relate? I just like that stuff. I geek out on that stuff. So I just wanted to share that today because it was really impactful for me, and Gary is a fantastic presenter. But mindset, right? So that's kind of encapsulated mindset. And how many of you have a business plan for this year? Okay, pretty much everybody, right? Or if you don't, you're going to come see me and you'll have one. And who's taken action on that business plan? Okay. I see a few more hands on it. I'm kind of, yeah, I am. I'm taking action on my business plan. But behind all that, or before we get to that business plan and get to that action, we got to be right up here. Everybody agree? Okay. I don't know about you, but I go bat, you know what? I can get a little bit crazy and I can get in my head. I take some time. I went to family reunion. I listened to something like that from Gary, and that continues. And then I saw this little snippet of the video, and it just helps me that, because I just have to constantly be working on my mindset. Who likes that word mindset? We use that a lot, right? I see some, yeah. Okay. So if you are thinking that your mindset isn't the best, we'll take some actions to increase it, right? Positive, prayer, meditation, yoga, all that kind of stuff. It's really, what does that have to do with our day-to-day business? Has everything to do with our day-to-day business. It does for me. So hope you got a nugget out of that. Shifting to the language of sales. What else do we call language of sales? Nick, what do we used to call language of sales? Scripts and role play. Thud, the room goes silent. How about knowing what to say and when to say it? Or as agents, is that something you think we should know when we're working with our clients? What if my client says this? We used to call them objections. They're just questions, right? So what I asked Nick to do today was, and come on up, buddy. A little bit of free form. So I'll apologize ahead of time for that. One thing that Nick and I talked about is in conversations that I'm having with many agents right now is pricing properties a little more tricky right now with listings and price reductions. I'm seeing some head nods. So I'm hoping we're going to tap into something and at least give you some ideas of what can do to help with that. As a broker, I talk to a lot of agents about, hey, I got this listing and I know it's not priced right in the sellers. I deal with that in my own business, right? Pricing properties in a market like this, which let's call it, this is a normal real estate market. Would you agree? Would anybody disagree with me? Okay. It's pretty normal. In other words, we're fairly stabilized with prices, right? There's always a little bit of up and down, but on average, we've got healthy levels of inventory. We've got historically close to average rates. Okay. To us that have been in the business, yeah, it's crazy. Rates are super high, but this is a fairly balanced kind of normal market. We're edging towards a little bit more of a buyer's market. Okay. But within that, if you haven't been in the market for a while or haven't experienced this, then pricing a property is very important, and price reductions. Are you guys seeing with your own listings or other listings that are out there, are you seeing a significant percentage of price reductions on listings? Okay, so what Nick and I wanted to talk about today is just kind of demonstrate some conversations that we have really, and we kind of dove deep into it. One of the things that I have done, and I know that Nick does too, is from our initial contact with somebody calls me, whether it's a referral, past client, doesn't matter. Somebody calls me and they're considering hiring me to sell their home. I know that, in my opinion, there's only two issues in selling real estate today: the price we set on their home and their motivation, or motivation and price. You can put them in either order. My experience tells me if they're motivated, they will at some point get that property priced right. If they're not motivated, they probably won't. So it's my job to pre-qualify those sellers to make sure that there's at least a decent level of motivation. But I'm talking with them right from the get-go. Usually my first call is about pricing because I know they have an idea what their home is worth, but I'm bringing it up to the fact that the market will tell us where we need to be. I'm not the end all as the listing agent of what this property is worth. They are not the end all with what their property is worth. Does it really matter what the seller wants for a property? Anybody have any thoughts? Does it matter what a seller wants for a property? Are they going to get it? There you go. Matters. Does it matter to the buyers? Does it matter to any buyer that's out there? So I don't mean to be insensitive with sellers, but what they think it's worth and what I think it's worth are irrelevant. They're going to base their opinion off. So guys, I feel like I do it a lot of times. Nick and I talk about scripts and role play. Nobody wants to sound scripted. Nobody wants to sound canned. But I can just say, you will learn much faster if you have some type of script or dialogue and you role play it and practice it with your peers versus role playing and practicing with your potential clients. My experience, my first few years in real estate, I did not know really what to say. I picked up bits and pieces here and there. I just thought, I'll just do it my own way. I made very little money. I was the best at doing a CMA, but I never took any listings because I didn't practice scripts and role play until I got to the point where I memorized it, internalized it. Then I had the opportunity to make that script my own. So what I wanted to do today was just, Nick and I were going to put ourselves out here and just do some kind of role playing, a conversation about pricing property from the beginning in our first few meetings. And then what do we say? Maybe, would this be beneficial? What do you say to a seller when you need to get a price reduction? Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today. So now, Nick Gonzalez, your thoughts?
Can I throw something in there?
Please.
One thing is just one step that Mike and I do, one step even before what we've talked about, is something that we call affirmations. So I don't know if you're familiar with them, if you've done them, but Mike and I do those every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And one reason that I bring that up, so you can come join us. It's at 8:45 in the cafe area. Mm-hmm. But the cool thing is some of the affirmations, I don't have them all memorized, but some of them are, I'm a pricing expert. My clients trust me to price their home right. I always tell the truth. I have integrity. Things like that, I think is a pretty good place to start, right? If we know that we are the pricing experts and that our clients trust us to price and sell their home, then, it helps with all of this. So
Cool. Real quick, I see, who provided lunch today? KW South Valley. Okay, we got a choice here. We can go, it's 11:30, we got some time. I want this to be, we're gonna demo some stuff, but I want it to be interactive, and maybe we'd even just do some, I'm just gonna call it old school, objection handlers that you guys might be getting, and how we can work together to do those. Do you guys wanna eat now while we're doing this, or wait till we're done? Because if so, we'll take 5, get pizza. Here's choice 1, take 5, get your pizza, sit back down, and we'll move forward, or we just move forward and you guys can eat afterwards. I think that's a good point too. It depends on whether you like hot pizza or cold pizza. So I want to make the decision. Show of hands of eat now and do a working team or an eating team meeting, or wait till after. Show of hands for option 1. There you go. All right. Then what we're going to do is we're taking, I got 11:32. We're taking, in 5 minutes, we're starting this. So grab some pizza, grab a drink, sit back down, and we're going to do this. Do you want pizza?
No.
And Ian's going to hum us background music. Seriously, Sinatra?
Just sent from up above. I feel it coursing through my blood. Life is a drink, your life's about to make the stars come out. Drink from me, drink from me. Pour on a symphony. When I'm low. Got a condo in Manhattan. Baby girl, what's happening? You and your ass invited, so gonna get to clapping. Go pop it for a plan, pop it for me. Turn around and drop it for a plan, drop it for me. I'll rent a beach house in Miami. Wake up with no jammies. Lobster tail for dinner. Julio served that scampi. You got it if you want it. Got it if you want it. Said you got it if you want it. Take my wallet if you want it now. Jump in the Cadillac. Girl, let's put some miles on it. Anything you want, just to put a smile on it. You deserve it, baby. You deserve it all. And I'm gonna give it to you. Gold jewelry shining so bright. Strawberry champagne on us. Lucky for you, that's what I like. That's what I like. Lucky for you, that's what I like. That's what I like. Sex by the fire at night. Silk sheets and diamonds. trips to Puerto Rico. Say the word and we go. You can be my flica, girl, I'll be a flico, mamacita. I would never make a promise that I can't keep. I promise that your smile ain't gonna never leave. Shopping sprees in Paris, everything 24 carats. Take a look in that mirror. Now tell me who's the fairest. Is it you?
Check. You guys ready to start?
Is it me? Say it's us, and I'll agree, babe.
So, like I said, Nick and I are going to do a little bit of role play with your permission. Nick, what's the one rule that we do when we're role playing scripts and dialogues to learn and to memorize and internalize? What's the one rule that we have?
Be nice.
Be nice. Guys, just don't be an idiot when you're role playing with some people, right? We're just doing this to better. So what I mean by that is Nick's not, until I'm ready for it, maybe him throwing me a curveball and this kind of stuff. I'm trying to get a flow for this. But I wanted to take a quick minute, and I'm going to demonstrate some conversations that I have with a seller before I even hit the market to have them prepped for the possibility of a price reduction. So we're going to do it, and then I'm going to ask you to kind of do the same thing for me. So my first conversation usually is either over the phone, but say I'm out just previewing. I usually start by previewing the property, and Nick and I are walking through. Nick, thanks for, and this is not my listing presentation. Nick, thanks for letting me come over today and take a look at this. I know you took some time on there, and you mentioned to me that you're thinking you guys wanted $900,000 for the property. Is that right?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, terrific. Great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my office. Now they made all the details, I'm going to put together a market analysis for you. And then I think we're meeting Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. You and your wife are going to be here, and then we're going to really crunch the numbers. And I appreciate that. So 900 is kind of your target on it. Okay, I'm going to do my due diligence on it. Nick, one thing I do want to point out is I'm not the end all when it comes to pricing, right? And I hate to say really what you want for the property, it may not matter either. Worth what I think it's worth. Okay. What's really important is what buyers in this market think it's worth. Does that make sense? The buyers that are out there looking at properties are the ones that are kind of setting the prices. So we do want to keep that in mind. Here's the other thing that I've learned in the time that I've sold real estate, Nick, is that the market will tell us where we need to be on price within about 14 days, maybe as soon as 10 days, but I know within 14 days. Okay, so lots of showings, no offers. Hate to tell you, we're 3 to 5% too high. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's a lot.
Okay, that's the market speaking to us. So if we get almost a showing a day for the first 10 to 14 days on it, Nick, but we're not extracting any offers, it's just the market lightly telling us that we're a little bit high, 3 to 5%. Okay, so I just want you to understand, I'm going to talk with you and your wife about that a little bit more. So for the rule, lots of showings, no offers, 3 to 5% too high. I really missed the mark, and I apologize, but that's not going to happen. Okay, I'll see you Saturday, right? And Nick, remember when we talked about pricing the other day? What was with pricing then? Do you remember?
Yeah, I think it was 3 to 5% that we'd have to drop it if it didn't sell.
Yeah, you're right. And so now I've got both him and his wife there, whoever, decision makers. I'm having that conversation again with them and Nick, does that make sense to you? Because another rule that we have is time on the market is your enemy. Okay. Make sense? Do you understand that? Any questions?
What do you mean by that?
Okay. So the less money you're going to get for the home. Okay. In this market, my opinion, we're in the market more than 30 days, you're going to start ties. And you're going to have to do deeper price reductions the longer you stay in the market to reinvigorate interest. Okay, it's not real rocket science. That's why critical time frame for me is 14 to 30 days, making sure that we get a contract. I want you and your wife to understand that rule, 3 to 5% too high if we don't have an offer. Hopefully we have an offer. Okay, I'm not saying that we're not going to, but I want to prep you for what the expectation is, you get the most possible. Make sense?
Totally.
Then we take the listing, and let's say a ticket at 900,000. I don't know, maybe I feel like it's a little bit priced, but I've had that conversation. Now we're getting ready, we get photography. Of calling up Nick and his wife and just saying, okay, just want to confirm, I'm going to send you over the multiple listing input form. Remember we talked about that you guys felt real strongly about going on the market at $899.9, okay? And that's the document I'm going to send. But Nick, what's the rule again? What are we going to know in 10 to 14 days?
Whether we're overpriced or not.
Okay, great. And does that make sense? And Nick, if we find that we get lots of showings and no offers, are you going to be prepared to reduce that price?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
Great.
prepped to do it.
Okay, great. Hopefully, again, that doesn't happen. I list the property. At the end of the first week that we're on the market, if we haven't had an offer, calling Nick again, we're at 7 days. Nick, on it, we've had good activities. I'm not saying I'm making a decision yet, but I just want to prep you that we've already had 12 groups go through the first week between the open house and that, but we haven't extracted any offers. So again, the market's politely telling us that we're just a little bit too high, in this case, 3 to 5%, right? Just want you to ponder that, but let's get through the next 7 days and if we haven't had an offer. So we go, how many times have I had this kind of same? Does it sound ridiculous? Guys, I start joking with them about what's the rule? Lots of showings, no offers. I'm not dropping at 5%, Mike. I'll consider 3. That's fine. You know, and then they'll start repeating it to me and I have a little bit of fun with it. But now here we are on day 14. Nick, remember in the beginning I told you we talked about, I'd tell you the truth. I'd tell you what you needed to hear, not what you guys wanted to hear. Well, we just had 14 groups go through. Not one of them has made an offer. We're really not getting any negative feedback. But the feedback that we're getting is we're just not a great enough value for them to put pencil to paper and write an offer. Based on that, I'm going to recommend do that price reduction of 4%, maybe 3%, right? Nick, does that make sense to you and your wife?
I mean, I get it, but I kind of think, I mean, can we start with maybe a $10,000 price reduction?
You can, Nick. Can I tell you why that may not be the best idea?
Yeah, I'm all ears.
I put you in a situation, Nick. If you guys were out looking, and you're going to be looking at homes once we get this closed, right? You're smart and you're waiting till this house is closed before we write an offer. Cool. Just a little plug for that. Okay. Don't do contingencies if you can avoid them. People will move twice. Nick, if we went out and looked at a property at 900,000 and I called you back 2 weeks after you looked at it, said they dropped it to 890, does that do anything for you? Honestly.
Probably not. I was probably going to offer 10,000 low anyways.
You're probably going to offer 10,000. Most buyers are going to feel that same way. We need to have a little bit of teeth in these price reductions that we're doing. In my opinion on it, 3 to 5%, because 10,000 is not 3%, right? That's why that rule kind of is 3 to 5%. Now, I wouldn't say we need to go as much as 5 right now, but I do feel that we need to get to the 3. And hopefully that price reduction is done enough that we might generate more than one offer. I can't promise that, but again, the market will tell us where we need to be in the next 7 to 14 days. So 10's just not going to cut it.
Okay.
25.
Yeah, I trust
whatever
you.
the percentage is on, okay?
Yeah.
Price reductions within 14 days. Could you guys do that? Do you do that? Or what are you doing to prep people that do you understand? Would you guys agree when I say the market will tell us where we need to be? Does anybody disagree with that or thoughts on it? I'm going to go to Wendy because she had her hand up first.
Well, I don't, it wasn't about agree or disagree. I just have a question. If the conversation goes the same way, because, you know, I have clients sometimes that they kind of rely on you a lot on the price. So technically, I like to give them a price range for them. Like, this is what I see the home, and I give them a price range. If let's say it was one of those clients that wants to price the home too high, let's say, and you suggest them a range or like a price in between, was it going to be the same conversation, or the client will come back to you and says, hey, but you says that was the price range? How the conversation will be different with the 3 to 5%? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's where me personally, I don't get into a range.
Okay.
I just tell people I tend to be conservative, and if my CMA that I do comes in at 875 and Nick wants to list it at 900, I'm telling him we're already starting 25K ahead of where the market's telling us. The previous market, the previous buyers that bought properties said properties like yours are worth 875. We're already starting 25 high, Nick. So when the price reductions come, if we do that, we're probably looking at 50K.
What?
Because the 25,
Wow.
you get,
Why did they price it at the price that you suggested? Then how is the
I'm-
communication different with 3 to 5%?
I'm doing the same. Because again,
Okay.
what I recommend, I'm admitting to them, I'm trying to get to Nick, is I'm not the end all. And what I say a property, I think I can sell this for 900. Do I control the market? Do I control interest rates? Do I control inventory, guys? So I'm coming in, I'm telling them, I'm their best guide to interpret this market. So I may think I can get 900 on it, but if I put it on the market and I get no showings, I apologize, Nick, I'm off. But the market will tell us where we need to be. Lots of showings, no offers. We're 3 to 5% too high. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it's all about setting expectations, and it's really important that they are involved. Even if they just say, "Hey, I trust you, list it for what you think." I just don't think that's a healthy way to have a listing. I think you have to say, "Hey, let me just go through the short version with you. This is why I think it's right here. Let me show you the numbers. Does that make sense?" But we can't really make decisions on behalf of our clients. They need to make the decisions, but we can highly recommend something, of course.
Before I jump to these two questions, I'm going to hold you guys up for a minute. I want to ask Nick, I want to get your take on that. Kind of run me through your process from start to going live on the MLS. Are you doing anything similar to what I do, or what with your expectations, pricing, and potential price reductions?
Yeah, so definitely setting a lot of expectations, and we can role play it real quick. So, hey, so look at these. These are kind of the comps that we've pulled for your house. This one's a little bit better than yours, I think. It's a little bit bigger lot and everything. It sold for $950. And then we've got this one down here, a little worse than yours, and it sold for $865.
Okay.
So where do you think your home's kind of priced?
Do you think we're
within
going to
those?
be in between the two, Nick? Okay, I mean, but can we try to do the high end and just see? I mean, no point in trying, right? Can we try to get 965 and see what happens?
Yeah, totally. Well, I like to look at the data. So when you look at these couple of houses, where do you think, and buyers are going to be doing the same thing, right? So when they're looking to figure out what they're willing to pay for a place, they're going to be looking at the same thing. They're going to be looking at what other homes have sold for.
Oh, they're
So-
going to look at the comp. Oh,
Totally.
never thought of
So
that.
when they see
Okay.
that this one sold for $950 and it's got, it's on a full acre and it's been fully remodeled and whatnot, don't you think, what do you think they're going to
yeah,
think of a
I
950
didn't know.
price?
Can we not show them that stuff, or
Huh.
can
Yeah,
you
so
take those other ones off the market, Nick?
totally.
Okay. No,
Yeah,
I
so-
kind of get your point, but I'd still like to try a little higher if we can, and then we'll see in a couple months if we haven't sold it, of what drop in the price then.
Yeah, totally. And honestly, if I thought that being on the market longer was going to get you more money, I would totally agree. But the truth is that you're going to get the most for your property if we can get it sold quickly. The longer it stays on the market, buyers are going to think there's something wrong with it, and your price is actually going to go down over time. Is that what we want?
No. I got to be at a job transfer. I got to be to South Carolina, and I'm leaving in 3 weeks. So
Totally.
okay.
So I would recommend, based on all these numbers, and I told you I went through all the other ones too, but I just want to keep it kind of light here. But I would recommend we list at 900,000, and I do think that's a realistic number. I think we can get that in today's market.
Okay.
But I also want to chat with you about the fact that I don't make the market; I just interpret it. And what we're going to know after 10 to 14 days, we always list on a Wednesday, so that following 2 weeks later, we're going to have a big conversation. And depending on how much activity we've got on the house, we're going to decide if we've got the price right or if we need to make an adjustment. Does that sound okay?
So there's a chance we could go lower then, Nick.
Even at that 900,000, we have to make sure that we show enough value in the eyes of the buyers that they're going to take action. And this isn't the market of 2020 or 2021 where we can count on the market doing that heavy lifting for us. We've really got to show value because there's 4 other houses in the neighborhood, and we need to make sure that we show the best value for the price.
Well, I trust you, and if you don't think so it's going to hurt if we go higher, is what you're saying. But then even at 900, we've got to just kind of see what happens with it.
Yeah, totally. If we overprice, we're going to limit the amount of people that are going to see it, especially in those critical first couple weeks.
Yeah.
And we really don't want that, right? We want to be able to get the most buyers through your home within the first couple weeks,
Yeah.
because time on market is going to be the enemy in this case, and we want to make sure you get top dollar.
I'll follow your advice.
Okay, cool. Let's run with it.
I was nice, but thanks, brother. You know, that feels like a real, I don't know if you guys feel because you're watching, but when I'm up here with Nick, number one, both of us are nervous because we're doing this in front of their peers. But I can honestly say what the conversation is very similar to the conversations that I'm having when I'm out with my clients, right? So thank you for doing that. And I'm going to go back because Andrea had her hand up first. So thank you for running the mic, Lisa. Andrea, then Amy, and then I think it was Lisa.
I just have a question. So what if it's like a niche listing, like a 55 and older, or like a townhouse, like a condo, like a specialty area, like something like that? Are you doing the price reduction that quickly still?
Me personally, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Especially.
Probably more so on those higher price range guys. I'll give it a little bit longer, but here's what I want you to ask. Don't just take my word for this. Use your own experience. Here's one thing I have never had happen in my tenure in real estate. Listing a property on day one at X price, and then the seller getting X price 90, 120, 150 days later. It's not rocket science. I'll give them a little. Am I hard on it if they don't do it in 14 days? I give them the rules. Lots of showings, no offers, 3 to 5% too high, and something that I know there's always exceptions to every rule, right? But one of my rules is they will get more in the first 30 days than they will anytime thereafter. And I explained to them, as he talked about, if you're all working with buyers, does it come up fairly often? When your buyer clients ask you, how long has it been on the market? Why do they ask you that? It psychologically just tells them that there's either something wrong with it or it's not priced right. It's rare that it's something wrong with it. It's just usually not priced right. They don't see the value in making an offer on that. So on the flip side, on listings on it, to stay on the market another 30 days so we can get traction through. So on niche, maybe I'm going 3 weeks or something on it, but typically we are in an economy and in a market, even in worst market that we had 2008 to 2012. For those of you that were here selling real estate, was stuff still flying? Was good stuff price flying off the shelves? Absolutely, absolutely. There's a buyer for every house. Just got to be priced right. To Hiram's point, higher end listing. If I start getting up over million and a half, I'm probably 15 to 30 days. We know we have a little bit less of a buyer pool, but I'm still telling them that 30-day time period is critical. So it's what I think works for them, doesn't always, but typically I'm going to get price reductions within a reasonable amount of time to ultimately benefit them so they don't stigmatize on the market. I'm going to come back as Amy. Amy had her hand up.
Amy.
I just had a quick comment I want to get your take on. A strategy that I was taught when doing listing appointments was to address the price reductions during the listing appointment.
Mm-hmm.
And to actually flip over my listing agreement and say, okay, well, at day 7, here's our benchmarks. If we aren't here, let's agree to lower it to this, and break down all of my price reductions during the listing appointment and have them initial it, which is totally not legally binding in any way, but it sets in their mindset that they've talked about it. We had this conversation. So then when you come back to them and say, okay, well, here's where we're at, that it makes that conversation a lot easier because you've already gone through
Absolutely.
all of the strategy behind it.
Absolutely. It's the same thing. You're having that conversation before we get on the market and trying to encourage agents is be talking with your sellers. Take the pressure off you and obviously off of them. It's the market. The buyers that are out there looking are going to be the ones that set the price on their home. So if you're just going through, you're taking their price. I wanted to go at 965. Nick just says, I need a listing today. I'm going to put it at 965. And then all of a sudden, Nick comes to me at 3 weeks on the market saying, hey, we need to drop this 65K. He's done none of this stuff that Nick talked about or what Amy talked about on it. that's very, very hard to get a price reduction. Then they look at it as you didn't do your job. Does that make sense to you? If you wait till the last minute, if you wait till you need to do a price reduction to be having that conversation with the sellers, I feel like you just really haven't given them the fiduciaries you needed to. And so, great point. Can you do that? Yes, I've done that before. Be careful with it. You know, make sure that even if you did an addendum to the listing agreement that we're starting the listing at this, they've signed the MLS input at 900,000, but 2 weeks later, going to be dropped to 850. If they sign it, you can drop it. I would just over communicate with them on that. Okay. Allie.
I was just going to comment on what Nick said. Managing expectations, I think, is the key, especially just keeping that line of communication open. And then what Amy said, like bring it up right away, you know, that it's a possibility. But then an anecdotal situation, before I got my license, my husband and I bought and sold 14 different homes by owner until our last couple of homes. And every time we sold it within 2 weeks because we were educated on the market. And I think that a lot of buyers and sellers are more educated, at least that I'm seeing people I'm talking to. So they're going to know kind of what their neighbors are selling their homes for. So it should be easy to just say, here's the evidence, here's, you know, facts. And if you just bring up the facts and the truth, then I think it's a lot easier. Just lay it all out there.
Absolutely. I love it. You're getting that, you're having that communication. Just don't wait till, if we can summarize today, don't wait for the last minute to talk about price reductions. Because guys, did we have to have this conversation in 2021 and most of 22? I know I didn't. I could be 10% overpriced on that property and you still got 12 offers on it. Okay. Past 3 years, have we seen price reductions on it? What I hope that you got from this, and I want to thank Nick again for, going through this. And him and I, we bantered on this, and I learned some stuff from him. Let me jot it down yesterday. Nick said to me when if it would be easy, it would be easier for me not. Let me see. I can't read my own handwriting. It would be easier for me
I
not.
think it'd be easier for me to tell you it's
Yeah,
okay to just drop it by $10,000. Yeah, but you did hire me to tell you the truth, right? And the truth is that we need to drop it $25,000 to make sure that we get the bump in activity on your listing and get it sold quick.
Love that. Does that? I mean, guys, here's a golden nugget for you. Everybody listening? That is a script that he has internalized and memorized. Don't be afraid of scripts and role play. Call it whatever you want.
Oh, I
You
just
can say
wanted to
something.
comment on the other thing that Nick said that I thought was great was if I thought we'd get more money by keeping your home on the market longer.
Beautiful.
And it was just like, oh, you're just because they want to list it higher, right? So now they're going like, oh, if I list it higher, my home's on the market longer and I guess I won't get more money for it.
Love it.
One thing that I learned in practicing scripts and stuff I think is important is we know the script and so it feels disingenuous to us because we already know what we're going to say. For some reason that makes us feel disingenuous. But something that helps me remember is that person we're talking to, they don't know the script. They haven't been reading it. They don't know it.
Right.
So it's just a way to remember the points that you want to talk about and not leave the situation and be like, oh, shoot, I forgot to ask about that. Or I don't know how they feel about this. Or did I tell them this or whatever it is. So if we can just like pull that out, of our thinking, they don't know the script. So they don't know if we're messing it up or if we're not following the script. They're not privy to that.
Good point. You're not going to sound scripted and you don't have to all use the same script. Nick and I, where did you learn those little quips?
I don't know.
Okay.
Probably from Andrew Adams back in the day.
Probably from role playing. Now, I got one question for you. What kind of marketing will sell an overpriced listing? Go ahead. I'm going to write them on the board.
How about a billboard?
No, I'm dead serious. Tell me what marketing will sell an overpriced listing to a buyer? That's not fair. Can't change the market. Waiting. What will sell an overpriced listing to a buyer?
Family, like if you want to live in that community where you grew up in, or that's next to your family, like house that you really, really want to be in the location. Super, super. Like, I don't know, kind of like,
Okay.
And lucky,
We can't
probably.
hear you.
Harvard, Yale. Yeah. Do you think that those buyers, now you guys get the point I'm asking, right? What type of marketing is going to sell? And there's exceptions to every rule. But what Hiram's talking about, you guys have all had motivated buyers that, look, this is the house, this is the one. Have they just unabashedly bought it? Did they have any concerns about price or condition or ever asked for comps? Yeah, they do. Nobody wants to be a sucker. Okay. But for the most part, we can steal with the rules, not the exception is, the old adage is I could advertise your home at halftime during the Super Bowl, but if it's overpriced, it won't sell. What type of I'm asking you guys as agents, I wouldn't ask my client that, but yeah.
and say, hey, for overpriced, what the buyers have paid for an overpriced house. And then they're gonna be like,
Yeah, not too many. I mean, there's a needle in a haystack, that one that's got to be on the street, but even then, chances are they're probably going to actually look at comps, or they're going to get an appraisal and it's not going to appraise. So the reality is pricing is extremely important. What I hope that you guys have got today, and we maybe deliver a little value. I love these kind of one-on-ones. You guys like this stuff and talking about just hopefully giving you something. I learned something from Nick. Role play. If you guys, is there anybody in here that would want to come up and demonstrate role play? Don't all raise your hand at once. You don't have to do it in front of a group, but find somebody that you can run by. Hey, what do you say when? And it's like Nick and I did. We prepped for this. We probably ought to be, practice a little bit before we come in to talk about this. So pricing is pretty important. Erica?
One thing I like to talk about with my sellers too is that competition's always a moving target, and that I'm going to always be keeping, because when you're a buyer, you don't just walk through one home. You're going to walk through multiple homes. So you want to keep an eye on who your competition is actively on a daily basis. And I will be sending you your competition when it comes up and what it looks like. And we'll be discussing price throughout the whole process.
Love it.
Love it.
So point is, sounds like you're having this conversation before you hit live on the MLS. I know that we did it in a brief time period, but when I'm prepping people, because for my most part, from when I have a first conversation to people to when we actually hit the market, it's usually a minimum of probably 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, working from CMA to paperwork, listing appointment, photography, and then getting ready to go. They've heard from me. We've had some fun with it. We've talked about it, that I'm not the end all on the price, and it just makes it a lot easier to get. It's still, I tell them, I usually call on Fridays, and Nick, when I do you're going to hear from me more often, but I kind of do formal updates on Fridays, especially when it comes to pricing. I promise you, I will pick up the phone and call and have that tough conversation. I don't want to have to call you and tell you that we need to do a price reduction, but I will, because ultimately it's going to help you get to where you want to go and get you the most money for the property, right? So questions on that? Let's talk about that. I'll tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
Yeah, I think it's important intentionality is really important. So whatever you're trying to, whatever you want them to feel and think during this time is probably what they're going to end up thinking or feeling. So just remember, you have to always be reframing things as it's me and you. It's me and Mike pricing his home against the market. Yeah. It's never me versus Mike. And sometimes you've probably been in situations where it feels like a fight. Hey, I think you should list at 900. I don't want to. I want to list at 950. Well, I think you should. This is not, it's not productive. Yeah. And it's starting to pin you guys against each other. And so you always have to think, and in my mind, I always think of it physically. I think if me and Mike were facing each other pricing this house, it's like me versus Mike, right? So I always think, I think physically. So I imagine myself shoulder to shoulder with Mike. Yep. Okay, so what are we going to do here? We've got our price at 900. We're going, we're looking at it, us against the market. So whenever you feel like you're fighting, because I don't like contention. So whenever you feel like you're fighting, just make sure you reframe it and say, hey, we're on the same side. I want you to get the most money possible. This is how we're going to go about doing it.
Love it. Who uses an iPad or a computer on their listing presentation? Great way to do that. I like an iPad. So I'm always sitting, and it is there's the little nuances. I'm always sitting usually side to side. I never want to be across from them, but it makes it a lot easier when we got to look at the computer screen to get. The other day I had two ladies selling an estate sale. They're both sisters. I just was like, I'd never met them before, but within a couple minutes we had developed some rapport. I'm like, okay, time to get to know each other. Like, let's stand side by side. I'm going to be in the middle, and we're going through the computer, looking at the CMA and talking about pricing and stuff. So it is a good point, and body language too. So do you guys that's kind of what we wanted to cover on the pricing. I hope that was beneficial. I hope maybe you got a bit of a nugget on being able to run this whole process. Don't wait till the last minute to talk about price reductions, because then it does get adversarial. It can get, you're not doing, and then you go, well, I'll do 12 more open houses and I'll run 80 more Facebook ads or whatever. I'm not saying those are bad things, but if you have this conversation with people, it's Nick and I against the market. In the market, they're the bad guys, right? But that's really what they're going to tell us where we need to be. So it just makes it easier. In my experience, I get price reductions and I sell listings. I don't expire a lot of them. So questions, anything else related? Lita?
Let's say there's a house that's been on the market, or switching to, if you're representing a buyer, there's a house that's been on the market for over 100, 120 days. How much less can you offer if they haven't done a price reduction?
What do you think?
I mean, just totally different conversation, honestly, because you have to run all comps from the buyer perspective and figure out what that house really is worth. And then maybe you're offering what it's actually worth in this market. And then you sell that to the listing agent of, hey, here's why we're offering this, because that's what it's worth in today's market. Or maybe you're trying to get a better deal. I don't know. But yeah,
it's
find out
hard.
what it's worth.
I see something on the market, guys. This is just me as a buyer's agent perspective on it. If I'm looking at one of your listings and it's over 60 days and there's no price reduction, I'm telling my buyer that we're probably dealing with an unmotivated seller. And I'm probably not the only agent that feels that way. Does that put your seller in a good situation when all the buyer's agents are looking at it like, now if I see that you've been on the market 60 days, but you've done 2 price reductions, and you just did one 2 weeks ago, I'm telling my buyer, because I'm looking at the history. You guys use the history button on the MLS? Live and die by it. I'll tell you everything you need to know about that seller. Doesn't mean they're going to give the property away, but I've got a motive that might be open to an offer if I've seen that you've done a couple of. Todd's got a listing and it's been on 90 days. Did a couple price reductions in the beginning as sellers feeling out the market. But Todd just dropped that 20 grand last week and the buyer calls and wants to see that, or we're looking at that property on that. But tell them, hey, if you like this house, pay attention. You got to sell it. It's probably pretty motivated. They just dropped this 20 grand. They've already done a couple price reductions. They're getting close. If you like it, better get it before somebody else does. So look at it from the buyer. How do you guys look at it? As Christine, you see a property that's been on the market for 120 days. No price reductions. Your buyer wants to go see it. You talking to them about that at all? Yeah. Time on the market is the seller's enemy. It's either overpriced or there's something wrong with it, right?
Both.
And if you're thinking that, or both,
Usually
or
both.
both on it, right? Yeah. So great question is, look at the comps on it and see. It doesn't mean that, the buyer, maybe the seller would be, they haven't gotten any offers. It's just, we look at the numbers. Gary talked about math, it's math. Look at the time on it. Anybody else have any thoughts, comments, any other objections or questions that you're getting?
Yeah. So on that same thought, I typically talk to the seller and just say, hey, notice been in the market for 3.5 months. You haven't dropped the price at all. Tell me more about that. And then just kind of see what they say, whether it's a seller issue, whether they're not very motivated, or this realtor is an idiot. Just kind of depends on what it goes from there. But when you're talking in a listing, a lot of times when I do on my listings, we've already looked at some homes. And when they're like, oh, I want this X price and whatnot, you can say, let me ask you, how many times have you wanted to offer full price on a house? And then they're like, the buyers think the exact same way.
Yeah.
And then secondly is like, to your point of days on market is the worst.
I just frame it in a scenario where, if we go look at a house that's been on the market for over 30 days, we are not paying full price. We don't want someone like me coming to a home like ours on the market after 30 days. That's the last thing that we want to happen. And so I frame it in a situation where they're also going to be buyers. They know that they want a discount. They know aggressive how I can be, that we don't want to be in that scenario.
Love it.
And I think it's important, like, to go along with that. I just think a seller oftentimes, they may not want to drop their price from the 950 to 925 or even 900. But if they had an offer that was solid, that was in writing, I think it's important for it to be in writing. But if you deliver them an offer at 925, they very likely would accept it, even though they may not want to reduce to 925 because maybe they think then they're going to get a lower offer from there or whatever. But when they have it in writing and you're a real buyer and you're respectful and everything, I think it makes a big difference.
So that leads to an objection. I'm going to throw him on the spot here. Nick, we're at 950. You're saying I need to get it closer to 900, so 25. Why won't these buyers just make an offer? If they made me an offer, I would take it. So let's just wait till somebody makes us an offer.
Yeah, well, that would work if we get the offer, but we just don't have a lot of control over that, and we haven't had a lot of success up to this point, honestly. Now, so you're willing to, let's say that we're listed at 950, you get an offer at 900. Are we willing to accept that today?
No, I mean, I'd probably counter for a little bit more. I'm not just going to give them 50 grand.
Yeah. What do you think? Like, what would you be willing to do this deal for? I'm not going to tell anyone. I just want to know between you and me.
Well, I mean, if I had to, 900 would probably be my bottom. But, really, I guess, if I had somebody come in and offer me 920 today, I'd, if it gets me to my job quicker.
Yeah.
So,
okay, let's say you're willing to do it for 920. We can either stay listed at 950 and wait for someone to come beat us down to 920. In that case, they're going to want the best terms for them, the worst terms for us.
Well,
right?
they're probably going to want 20 grand in closing cost on top of that. All
Oh,
that
yeah.
kind of stuff.
They're going to want that. They're going to want their earnest money protected for 30, 60 days. They're going to want an extended closing. Whereas if we drop it down to the 920, we can bring in some additional buyers that might be interested and look at getting a full price offer, but now in a more competitive environment where you're not maybe going to have to pay all their closing costs. And
yeah, that's the one.
we can get their
Do that.
earnest money. Yeah, let's go for that.
Yeah, let's do that. Love it. He just had a script that he has memorized and internalized. They're all just, everything that we've talked up here is, guys, just look at it as just a script, or let's just call it dialogues. My buddy Todd in the back, we talked about this beginning of the year, is kind of bringing out more language of sales stuff. What do I say when? Has this been beneficial today? We're going to keep doing this. I'm going to ask you guys to come up and so as the broker, I'm picking on people. So you never know when I'm going to call and say, hey, will you do team meeting with me? So practice your script dialogues. Anything final? Because I want to respect your time. We went over, we've already eaten. Don't Ellie. Todd can probably answer. So Todd, if I want, I'm brand new agent, and in 30 days, I want to be able to talk like Nick and answer all those and sound great. What would I need to do? I had somebody ask, where do we find the scripts? See Ian after the meeting. Check. No, there are books, guys. There's really nothing. The objections are the same. I'm going to clue you in. Here's another nugget for today. You guys want this? Sure you're ready for it? The objections that you get from buyers and sellers are the same today as they were when I got my license in 1996. Have not changed. They are the same. So learning how to handle when somebody says, will you take the listing at 6% instead of 8%? Or I want you to discount your commission. Or I only want you to list a property for 60 days. What's the other? I'm going to sell the home myself to save money. I can't pay $3,000 a month for a condo. You guys get it? The questions or objections that buyers and sellers have never changed. Therefore, if you had some dialogues around how to get into conversation or objection handle, there's really not a whole lot to learn. But I want to come back real quick to what Todd, because you guys can't read my handwriting anyway. But Todd, so I need to get a script. I need to kind of practice it, memorize it, and internalize it. Todd, would it be helpful if I actually recorded myself or videotaped myself? Yeah. Todd, do I have to do that in team meeting, or can I get an accountability partner and kind of do it in private where we feel a little more comfortable? Okay. Okay.
Honestly, it needs to be done. And even if, like, even I'm sure Nick, I see you and Nick up there every morning as well. Like, even though it's seasoned, they can still need to do it. Like, your script is your roadmap. And
I like it.
your buying is going to try to get you off the road. And if you don't have it memorized, and you don't have it, you can't get them back to where you need them to go. You're down deep in the woods, lost, and you can't get them back to where you want them. So that is what the script is. It's your roadmap. And if you memorize it, you always know the questions. You always know what you need to get you back on track.
Perfect. One last thing that I want to say, and then I'm going to say, how many of you in here, if you needed to, could come up and be comfortable delivering your listing presentation to this group? I got. Wow, we're doing good. I had like I'd have two of you. Now, thank you, because you just identified which of you that I'm going to be calling to ask. And I say that as just, listen, I teach the listing presentation class on there, and there's a lot of different versions of it. All I'm going to tell you is you have your presentation, have it internalized, memorized, and just make sure, because it's going to keep you efficient. That's enough out of me. Anything from you?
Nope.
All right, we're
Let's
hanging
go.
around afterwards if people want, but thank you for being here today.
Nice.